All right, Tuesday, June 4th, much slower session in the index today. Well, within the expectations that we had for the session, but nonetheless a slower session. Came into the day wanting to see how price was going to respond either versus that 18,630 level or that 18,550 level of interest. Both of those levels of interest kind of depending on where price was poised to open for the regular trading hour sesh. Now, what I had mentioned yesterday during the session recap and kind of reiterated this morning during the pre-market prep live stream was the fact that price was poised to open pretty much right in the middle of that prior day's range. If we take a look at the 5-minute, here's your 5-minute regular trading hours chart on NQ. Price is really poised to open right here, 18,630, right in the middle of yesterday's range. It's not going to be a great location for us to be opening. It's not going to be an area where we're going to have a lot of high probability opportunities. Generally speaking, we want some type of open if we can get it either near the prior day edges, that would be prior day high or prior day low, or of course those scenarios where price is gapping outside of the prior day's range. And open right in the middle of the prior day's range with what was a pretty volatile session. It's not going to be best case scenario for active intraday trading opportunities, right? So we come off of two extremely volatile sessions. Expectations should be pretty light for any type of outsized move, right? Volatility, as you know, it's going to expand and contract. You can have a lot of expansion, a lot of contraction, and it goes through this cycle repeatedly. And so generally, when you have those outsized volatility days, like we saw on Friday, like we saw on Monday, what you want to be expecting is for a much slower session. That's exactly what we see today. Now, on top of that, what we have is no data. Tuesday, no data. We do have that JOLTS report at 10 a.m. That did give us a little bit of a pop higher, right? But as far as price actually moving outside of that opening 5-minute bar, no. So anytime you have, and I bring this up because I spoke with a number of traders who got caught in this early chop. And so this is, again, worth repeating if you don't fully understand this yet or haven't fully internalized this and it's actually showing through your actions, right? It's one thing to say, oh, I know this. It's another thing to have your actions actually back it up. And so when we see price action actually trading within that opening 5-minute bar, it's a good clue that maybe we should be doing less unless you can, nail a very, very tight entry, say, versus that prior day volume point of control with a little bit of an intraday spring right there, something like that. If that is within your framework, great, amazing. You can scalp this tighter range. But if not, then you really just don't want to be trading this type of action, right? There's not going to be a lot here, especially if you're focused on like a VWAP setup or something like that. You're not going to have a lot of opportunities within this action. Now, when you start to get some action outside of that whole morning base and you get, push into some upside levels of interest and then a pull back into VWAP after price has made and sustained fresh session highs, this is a different situation, right? Afternoon session, we've got more volume and we have a true change in the tone of price, true change in what is happening with price action. It's showing its colors right through here. And so the challenge is that, if you get chopped up in the morning, the probability that you're still around for the afternoon to catch something like this is pretty low. If you caught this, well done. That's probably going to be one of the easier money trades for a session like today. But overall, much slower session, price really failing to make any type of sustained directional move, right? And so that kind of brings me to the primary structure that we have on hand here. If I flip to this 30-minute chart, what you're going to see, what we've been talking about past couple of days, is that price is still range bound. We have big volatility, absolutely, especially Friday. some follow through with that volatility yesterday as well. But as far as price location, where are we? Well, it's still right here. Still right here. Still kind of just oscillating around the past 4 sessions value area, which is the volume point of control, right? And so this is still a near-term range. Now within the near-term range, we have some interesting characteristics, right? There is definitely a key area of resistance right through here at 18,750. And then on top of that, we do have a series of higher lows, which is not all that surprising because remember, prior to that, what we had was a near-term downtrend. So here's very clear downtrend, right? Price is making sustained lower highs and lower lows. This was a significant one. You get the washout essentially down here, and then price bounces and actually breaks that most recent lower high. That forces the change in character. Now sellers are not back in control as far as the market structure is concerned until you see sustained action down below Friday's low. So we get a retest of that Fibonacci retracement, right? Fib buy zone, as I like to call that, develops our next higher low. And then we have another higher low that has developed with the overnight action that we saw early this morning. What time was that? 6 a.m. So another higher low, and then now price bumping up against that 18,750 area. So for tomorrow's session, what I'll primarily be looking at anytime we have an inside day like we did today, main focus is always going to be how price trades versus that inside days range. So that's going to be today's high or today's low. Ideally, we can see some retest of that 18,750 early in the session, and open around there would be amazing. That would be ideal scenario. But we're going to be looking at either that 18,750 or that 18,700, both of those upside levels of interest. 630, 18,630 does stay on watch. Remember, this is that key level. If we zoom out even more, that you're going to have on the 60-minute chart. We're also starting to see it looks like the entirety of this range start to show that volume point of control right through there. That was a little off. It's about 685. Regardless, take a look at the support through here, 630, right? 630, 630. Then resistance again, right? Support through here. You can see it respected today. So the significance of that level remains pretty large. What we really want to focus on is whether buyers can show any type of acceptance above today's high and yesterday's high. All right, so NQ, main watch, going to be how price trades versus that 750 or 700 area, depending on where we open. As always, we'll share an update during the pre-market prep live stream. Let's jump over to ES. ES, pretty similar, right? We have the change in character from Friday. ES a bit stronger on Friday, forces that change in character up through that most recent lower high. You get the pullback into that fib buy zone. Now price developing that next higher low. Bumping into, again, that prior day high right through here at the 53.10. So I'd like to see some action versus this 53.10 area. We can, again, see the importance of this level. Just look left on the chart, on your higher time frame charts. And you can see that this is indeed a key level. So ideally, buyers are looking for that acceptance up and through the 53.10. That'll most likely be the main watch coming into tomorrow's session. As far as the actual structure here, this is plain as day, sideways range, right? We previously had this right through here. Okay, price breaks that previous Thursday low, sets up into a near-term downtrend, which can pretty much be isolated for about 4 or 5 sessions here. You get the change in character. It's back within that intermediate term range. And remember, yesterday during the session recap, we looked at that weekly time frame chart, which can really solidify what it is that price is doing. If you have any confusion about what type of setup we're trading within, again, take a look at the weekly. 4 consecutive weeks just sideways. So Range trading continues. We do have, some lighter structures within that bigger picture structure, but that's pretty much it here. Take a look at the daily chart. Some big tails beneath these candles, attempting to hold that rising 21 MA, right? So this does look like potentially poised for that next leg higher. See if we get some type of catalyst to really spark that move. Anyway, hope everyone had a great session, profitable session, or at the very least did not do any damage in the chop this morning. If you caught a couple of those scalp opportunities, well done. If not, and you stayed cash, that is also a win. Remember, cash is a position. As traders, we're just looking for those A+ opportunities and capitalizing on asymmetrical risk to reward setups. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a DM. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow morning for the pre-market prep live stream. Have a good afternoon.